Welcome to the We Talk Sports podcast, where we give the latest breaking news happening inside the leagues and around West Essex. Welcome back to the second episode of the We Talk Sports podcast. I'm Justin Misher, and alongside me is Carly Levitt. Carly, what is up?
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode, and today we have a special guest, Brooke.
Hey guys.
So, today's podcast is going to be focused on Week 4 NFL primetime games and maybe a little game of Would You Rather at the end of this week. So, let's first discuss the Giants-Seahawks game that happened on Monday night primetime football.
Yeah, so it was a terrible game for the Giants. The offensive line looked awful. Everyone on the Giants sideline looked miserable, including Brian Dable, who threw a tablet in front of Daniel Jones after his terrible mistake. Now, Carly, you were there. What was it like experiencing the crowd? What was the vibe after they kind of got down early?
So I'm going to be honest, I go to every Giants game and I'm so excited because I just love the environment there. But as soon as I get there, I kept saying I keep getting a heart attack after heart attack because the Giants are so unpredictable and every play is just nerve-wracking. They have that big throw to Breida, but then the next play Daniel Jones is throwing an interception or he's getting a strip sack. So it's hard to enjoy the game there because I always have stress. I'm like, what are they going to do next? Because this team is so unpredictable. But there were a few "Let's Go Hawks" chants. There was a few boos. There was a few fights going on between the fans, but overall the environment there is always great. I love the game day warm up, the music. I just love being there. But after Daniel Jones threw that interception, I was like, goodbye, we have to go home.
Yeah, it was not a good game for the Giants whatsoever. The Seahawks kind of took control on defense. 11 sacks for the Seahawks.
And it's the worst defense in the league, so I was like, what?
Yeah, I mean, Devin Witherspoon just took the life out of the Giants last night with that interception.
Rookie.
Yeah, I know.
97 yards, wow.
It was a tough loss, and the environment, even though it looked good in the beginning, towards the end of the game, it just looked like the Giants fans got the life sucked out of them. However, for the Jets, Brooke, now leading it over to you. You're a big Jets fan. What did you see on Sunday Night Football from Zach Wilson and the Jets?
I actually really liked what I saw, despite the loss. I think that it was a lot of positives coming out, especially from Zach, because I think that was the game where he had to prove himself, especially against the Super Bowl champs. But I think that he came out really well. I don't think anyone really thought that it was going to be a good game or that we had a chance. But I think that kind of motivated him to be like, this is where I have to prove myself in a big spotlight game where he has to do good. And I think he did good. Alan Lazard got his first touchdown as a Jet. And I think that it was overall just everyone played really good. I mean, our defense is pretty always solid, it has been this past couple of weeks, and so is our offense. But with Zach at quarterback, it's just been a little rocky. But I think that this week was good for him to prove himself, and I think that now he has the confidence.
Do you think that Taylor Swift being there had an impact on him?
I think maybe it was a little more of a Blake Lively, personally. But I think overall, I think the pressure did get to him, but in a positive way. I think it helped him.
I went in at halftime and I was like, these Jets are going to lose. And then when I woke up the next morning, I was like, wow, they actually did come back. But, it's the Super Bowl champs. So, and with the backup quarterback, it's kind of hard.
Yeah, I think it's especially hard for Zach Wilson. He didn't even think he was going to play this season. Aaron Rodgers comes in. He knows he's the backup to one of the best quarterbacks of all time. But I think he did a really good job. I mean, that throw to Alan Lazard had to be perfect, and it was.
Yeah.
And I was pretty impressed with them. Breece Hall, I think, looked good. Randall Cobb, I think, looked good and stepped up. So I was impressed with Zach Wilson. And going into the Broncos, I think they play week 5. So I think they definitely have a chance to win.
Yeah.
I really like when Aaron Rodgers up in the box and Zach throws a bad pass and Aaron just sighs. He's like, ugh, should have been me.
But I think that also another reason why he played good is I think that Aaron Rodgers is a really good mentor for him, and he obviously hasn't been here the last couple games. And I think that having him there for warm ups and just knowing that he's there, I think did help him. I think he's I gotta play good for Aaron. And I think it did help.
Yeah, speaking of mentors, I love Robert Saleh as the head coach. I think
him.
He always has Zach Wilson's back. I think all of the teammates have his back, too. You saw Garrett Wilson and Lazard all comforting him after the game, saying that it's not your fault and that you
that's
did the best
a change
you can.
from last year because they really did not like him last year, I feel like.
Well, I think Zach also matured, just from post-game interviews, that one game last year where he literally, lost them the game he, didn't want to take any credit for, and I think that he just got much more mature and I think learned a lot from Aaron Rodgers, and I think that also is why the team chemistry is so good. I think compared to I think that's another comparison from the Giants to the Jets, that like the Jets, like I feel like that all, like on the sidelines, if we're getting like crushed, like there's always still that like positive mentality where like the Giants, you kind of just like,
You know that the Giants are getting crushed. You could just tell it in their like
Yeah.
body language.
Yeah, Dable's gonna have to like give them a good talking and say like we need to get it back together, because he's the coach of the year, Dable, and he's gonna have to step it up, go into that locker room, change the mentality, because it's a tough schedule for the Giants,
Yeah.
Dolphins, Bills. But for the Jets, I think there's some hope now.
Yeah.
I also think that like Dable, he said that like, oh, like Giants fans should be upset, and like people are questioning like, is this GM and is this coach like the right fit for us, or do we have to go through another change for this team? But I really hope I see a Super Bowl sooner or later. So for this next section of the podcast, we're going to be playing a game of this or Would You Rather. And so our first question I'm going to propose is, would you rather have CJ Stroud as your rookie quarterback or Anthony Richardson? So I'll start with you, Justin. What do you think?
That's a really tough question, because they've both looked really, really good so far. Both teams are 2-2. Obviously, Richardson missed the game. But for right now, I think I would have to choose CJ Stroud, because he looks so comfortable in the pocket. I mean, he can't run as good as Anthony Richardson, but he passes way better. He has a lot of good weapons, whether it's Nico Collins, Tank Dell, Dalton Schultz, Damian Pierce. He finds his way to lead this Texans team to a win. They've beaten two good teams, the Texans. The Jaguars away. They blew the Jaguars out. And then they blew the Steelers out, who has a pretty good defense. Micah Fitzpatrick, TJ Watt. So to go and win those two games, and after starting 0-2 to now be 2-2, that's all because of CJ Stroud. And he just looks like every game he comes out, he has more and more confidence. And I really, really like CJ Stroud for the Texans a lot.
I also think that like having Damian Pierce with that second year not being a rookie is like a good mentor for CJ. But it's interesting to look at because Ohio State quarterbacks in this league have not been great in the past few years. So watching CJ Stroud come out here and beat the Jaguars, which I projected the Jaguars to win that game because I think I'm a Trevor Lawrence fan. But I think that it's interesting, and I told my dad this week, I was like, you should take Nico Collins in fantasy. He didn't, but Nico Collins had a great week because CJ Stroud has been such a strong quarterback. And I'm not going to lie, Anthony Richardson has been great, but I think CJ Stroud has a lot to prove, and the Texans are already better than the Giants and Jets, so that means a lot.
Yeah, I think following up on that, I think CJ Stroud like doesn't look like a rookie quarterback. I think he looks like he's at least in second or third year. I think he looks really comfortable in like all aspects, and I think that's also from just like the people he's around. I think that the Texans like they've kind of been struggling the past couple years, especially with everything like with everyone. But I think that he like comes in. He's also another very like mature presence, and he definitely doesn't look like a rookie. And I think that is a good step for the Texans. I think they're going in the correct direction.
All right, so going back to the Jets and Giants, would you rather be a Jets fan right now or a Giants fan right now? And I'll start. I think I would definitely like to be a Jets fan right now because these Giants are just miserable to watch. I think that the Giants, I don't know, they can maybe win one or two more games, but the schedule coming up is hard. We're playing the Eagles, we're playing the Bills, we're playing the Dolphins, as Justin said, and it's going to be tough. And these Giants, just like the offensive line, Daniel Jones is getting destroyed on every play. Hopefully getting Andrew Thomas back will be helpful, but it's hard because has no line holding him up. The defense looked better last night, but he has no weapons. I just want to see like a nice slant down the middle of the field. They can never do it. It's short passes to Wan'Dale Robinson, who's getting maybe 9 or 10 yards because he's fast. But like we need to use Hyatt. We need to use our starting tight end Waller. Like let's get it going.
To emphasize what you said, Darren Waller needs to be in this offense because you go out and trade him. He's one of the best tight ends when he's healthy, and now he's healthy and active, and they're not using him. At least with the Jets, and this is why I'm kind of leading towards being more like a Jets fan. That sounds weird to say, or like I'd rather be a Jets fan at this point, is because they use Alan Lazard and Randall Cobb and these new guys that they got. The Giants, they don't use Jalen Hyatt in the offense. They don't use Darren Waller in the offense.
It like makes me question if Mike Kafka, the offensive coordinator, like deserves to be there because like look at Nathaniel Hackett's still working along and trying to make the best for this team, but like the Giants are literally not doing anything. They're running the ball on 3rd and 11. Like come on now.
Even on 3rd and 3, they're running the ball with Matt Breida, who he's a backup. Don't run the ball. Trust Daniel Jones. Even though he's getting sacked, at least get him some throws in so he can find Darren Waller, who's supposed to be your big target.
Yeah, I think that both teams, the inconsistency is a bit of a problem. Like one game you'll see positives, and then the next week it's just the complete opposite. But I would personally say I would want to be a Jet fan right now, just because I think you see a lot more positives, especially within your quarterback, who's like a big reason where you have success, and I think that Zach Wilson did show a lot of positives. And he's also like, we're good at using all aspects of the game. Like our running game's good, and so is our like receiving game, and our defense is just, I mean, CJ Mosley and Quincy Williams are like pretty unstoppable right now. So I think on all aspects of the field, like we just look really good right now. So
All right, and my final question is, would you rather be in Justin Jefferson's position as 1-3 on the Minnesota Vikings with Kirk Cousins as your quarterback, or would you rather be in Jamar Chase's position with Joe Burrow and standing also at 1-3?
Justin Jefferson. I think Kirk Cousins isn't injured right now. Joe Burrow looks like he's kind of injured, and I just think he's performing better, and that's been shown in stats. And yeah, Justin Jefferson.
Was it true? Did anyone see that like he was posting stuff about Kirk Cousins on Instagram? I don't know if that was true.
I saw that on
but
Twitter,
like,
but I don't think it was actually true. I don't think he actually posted
Yeah, I
it,
didn't
but-
see it. So what do you guys think?
I think, I don't know, this is like a really tough question because they're both in like bad situations right now, and they're both like fantastic players that have like brought their teams to the playoffs. But Justin Jefferson, like realistically, he's a better player, and I think Kirk Cousins has a great arm, and especially agreeing with Justin, like Joe Burrow is hurt, and so I think the Vikings need to turn on the gas a little bit, and if once they get it going, they'll be great.
Yeah, I agree with you guys. I think also from the Bengals, I think they just look a little frustrated, like all around right now, and I think Jamar Chase has a lot of that frustration, and obviously Joe Burrow's probably playing hurt, so that doesn't really help anyone. And I just think Kirk Cousins, obviously veteran quarterback, they've played together for a couple years now, so I think that Justin Jefferson is the good pick in this one.
And I also question though, because the Bengals did sort of slow last year, so like maybe they'll get something going, but like I look at the Giants, like they're not getting anything going, so like
Yeah.
will the Bengals get anything going?
Yeah, it's tough. They're in a tough division as well. So that wraps up the second episode. We have a lot, though, coming up in sports. The NFL season, obviously, still going on. A lot of good matchups, a lot of good teams. Still two undefeated teams in the Eagles and the 49ers, so that's exciting. Then wild card games start tonight for baseball, so that's exciting. Postseason is always a thrill. Who do I want to win? Surprisingly, I think I want the Diamondbacks to kind of have like a little bit of a role. My Mets aren't in, so I hope the Diamondbacks kind of shock the world and do good. The NBA starting. Damian Lillard just got traded to the Milwaukee Bucks. That's a huge trade, and I think that could really help the Bucks a lot. I want to thank Brooke for coming on.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, thank you, Brooke.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, and if you want to possibly come on, make sure you comment. Visit the West Essex Wire on Instagram, and yeah, we'll see you next time.
Bye, guys. See you next
Bye.
time.